Good evening, how the devil? There are we all. I hope you are well. And it's back this weekend. The football is back. R.I.P. Yamaj. Rest in peace. Amazing scenes in London. Totally understand why we cancelled last weekend. Some of them obviously had to be cancelled this weekend because of the clash and the police coverage. But it's back. This is Leicester Till I Die TV. We've also got Leicester Till I Die Radio as well now. If you fancy a bit of music with the chat and rather not look at me and just listen, then head over to mixcloud.com, all one word, mixcloud.com/LTID radio. After those big American stations who like their four-letter names, LTID radio, and it's a mixcloud.com first, then / that. And this, well, it's the Spurs preview. I know. Let's do it.
It's time. Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favorite podcasts. Your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
And now, here's your host.
Right, Chris.
All right, again, I'm still here. How we are doing? Check the radio out. Apparently did quite well the last show. I've done a couple this week, one at 9, one at 6 to see which time goes better. You can catch them on that address that's going along the bottom there, mixcloud.com/LTID radio. The first show was looking back at the 2015-16 season and took me back in time on Wednesday last night when we looked at the 1976-77 season. Jimmy Bloomfield's last season with us as manager. The good thing is we have a laugh and a joke. Well, I do because it's a radio show, so there's only me. And I play a bit of music. We have a flares, glam rock. There's an awful lot of people that I can actually play that's still left that's not in prison. Yeah. Are away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. First of all, I just want to say all the best to Simon from the Tottenham Hotspur Premium Hotspur channel. He was supposed to be coming on tonight to discuss the game. Unfortunately, he's had to rush his son to hospital. So I do hope, Simon, that everything is okay. Fingers crossed for your son. I hope he is well. And that's Premier Hotspur TV. Thoughts going out to you, mate. I say, I hope your son's okay. And also on a personal note, thoughts from myself to Brad. Chin up, mate. Yeah, you're welcome on here. When you get your arse on here for 9:20 and join in and let me insult you. You know you love it. Now, Brad, Chin up, mate. Don't give up. Don't give up your dreams. Let's just check what's happening in the chat. Hayden's in. Hello, Hayden. How the devil are you, sir? Welcome on. Thanks for joining us. Alfie Likes Water. Hi. Hi, how are you? Alfie Likes Water. That wouldn't be Simon, would it? Not sure. I love your training kit. Well, I've got the kit. I haven't got the training body. To be honest with you, I usually buy, or I have been buying, all three kits for a few seasons. But I'm out of work at the moment. I haven't got a job. Bought the first one because I loved it. The third kit came out, the gold. I absolutely loved that, so I had to buy that. Thankfully, I didn't like the green and black one with the checker. So I thought, oh, this is half the price. But then, of course, I got the decision: do I buy the blue with the white edging or the white with the blue edging? I did only buy the one. Terry, yeah, Craig comes in now at 9:20. We've kind of changed the format a bit, because what we're going to do for the first 20 odd minutes is just go through the stats and the information, and then Craig will come in. We will talk the team. We'd normally have a guest, but like I say, unfortunately, his son's been rushed to hospital, so we haven't got a guest. And then he'll pick the team at the end. So that's the way the show works now. We did it before for the last game. The game didn't go so well, but the show did. So let's have a look. It's Spurs this weekend. How confident are we feeling? I'm torn, and I said this because we did want a show, myself and Brad, about 3 hours ago. It was 3 hours ago, 6 o'clock this evening, looking at the press conference. It was only a short one, that they put up online, which was 12 minutes. I haven't seen any journalistic things that were saying it. Other things were said that were cut or anything. But hey, look, it is what it is. The thing I've seen, I'm worried. I'm not going to lie. It's Spurs. Certain teams we don't do well against. And let's face it, usually it's the top six, Like when we won the league, when we won that thing there, you see it, that thing there. When we won that, we lost twice to Arsenal. And we hadn't beaten Arsenal for like 10, 13 years before we actually did. And it's just like that with Spurs at the moment. Of course, it doesn't help now that we are in the position that we are in, because we're not going to. I honestly don't think we're going to win. It's not often I predict against my team. I have done for this game, and I hated myself for doing it. I need the points in the prediction league, so such is life. But look, it is what it is. When we played Arsenal, I went into that game thinking we're going to lose. Because look at the signings they made. And we are in the position we're in, not just because of Brendan. It's because we didn't sell anybody last summer. The one season we didn't sell a big player. And whilst we don't have to, it obviously does help the way that the club is run. We were expecting to sell Tielemans this summer. We didn't. Fofana went through a spanner in the works, etc. You didn't get on in Europe in the midweek then, Wes. How's that working out for you at Chelsea, eh? Yeah. So look, so we know it's been bad. But we have to get on with things. It's FFP. That's what's doing us. We are being watched. Man City, Chelsea, they'll probably get out of it. West Ham and ourselves all being watched, because UEFA's FFP is a lot worse than the Premier League. So if we were somehow to qualify for Europe, we don't want to get stuck with fines or anything like that. And we have to sort of cut our cloth accordingly. Yes, as a lot of people have said today, well, we've got the planning permissions and all this is going to go ahead. We've got this big, complex with theatres and bigger shops and accommodation blocks, etc. But that's not FFP. And we've got to remember that. I'm sorry, I will do, Terry. Thank you. I've just seen that, mate. Message him. He would agree. He would agree. He does do a show with me at 9, but he could probably fit it in. But I've send that off to him. Send that off to him, mate. But yeah, that's not FFP. That is separate. The players, the purchase of the players, etc. Building the ground, extending the ground will help that, the FFP, obviously, because it means, we get more fans, therefore we can spend a little bit more. But we are still only half the size of Man United. And yet we're expected, because we have done for a couple of years, we're expected to compete with Tottenham. I mean, Tottenham, was it 3-4 times the size of Leicester? Even with the extension and the extra seats, we have to be realistic. And I've got to be honest with you, I would sooner at the end of this season go, God, I've still got a club. We're in the Premier League. Great. I don't do what spending money, chasing the dream like Leeds did in the hope to get into Europe, fail miserably, and we disappear for 10, 12 years. Look at Derby. Sold the family jewellery to try and get into the Premier League. Hasn't worked. Ended up a couple of seasons getting relegated, being dropped loads of points because they've overspent, etc. So we have to be. So this isn't a match that I would expect to win. But what I am looking for from the players is a commitment. What I am looking for from Brendan is use your 5 fucking subs if you need to, and get your tactics right. That's what I expect from Brendan. I expect from the players to put a bit of effort in. Now, you could argue against Arsenal that they didn't let us play very well. Well, yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. But I'm sorry, let's not get stupid about this. We know they're going to be, but just go down dying. That Great Escape season. Yes, we were bottom of the league. Yes, we were losing week after week after week. But we were fighting. We were at the moment. We're like the French. We're just giving up. We're going, we've lost this. That's what the players seem to be doing. But anyway, rant over. You know me and my rants. This isn't going to look very good, but we're going to have to do it. Let's go through the old Stataroonish, shall we? You see, there we go. 32 times we have played them. They have won 15. We have won 12. And in fairness, I have got to say that those 12 were not, yes, it was in the championship winning year, of course. But it was in the season sort of before that as well. Not sort of much so recently. They've won 8 at home. We've only won 5 away at their place. And the funny thing was, like I said on the radio show on Tuesday, and I did the 76-77 season, Tottenham actually got relegated that season. Hey! Oh, bad luck, Tottenham. I didn't realise when I was doing it, but they actually got relegated. So that's our history against them. And again, last year is probably not the best year, but it was last year to compare. Spurs did the double over us. They beat us 3-2 at Leicester, and then when we went to Spurs, it was 3-1. There's always goals in this game. We're never going to say there's not any goals. But yeah. Somebody said earlier when we did the manager show, the press conference show, I think it was probably Gray. He said that Spurs were 1-0 down to Kane before we even kick off. Yes, we probably are. As I said, I just can't argue. And this is when you look at the current form. Spurs 1-1, drawn 1-1. Leicester. Lost 1, lost. I'm not sure who that win was against. Who was that win against? 8 goals scored for us, 12 for them. But here's the biggie. 5 conceded, 16 conceded for us. Would you change Ward? Would you put Everson in? I'm against it. But I was on Lee Chappie's show earlier, watching along and in the chat. And his viewers put Everson in goal. Great channel, by the way. He's on everything on social media, all over the place. So if you're not following Lee Chappie, get your arse over and follow. It's a great channel. So that was the team form. This is the form guide. Like I said, I'm trying to see where that win was coming from. I think it's the fact that I used two different sites for this. This site is the one. Spurs there. You've got well, let's go back. They drew 2-2 with Chelsea. They were 2-0 down and they came back, so that was good for them. They beat Wolves 1-0. They beat Forest. Not often I say I love you, Spurs, but I did that day. They drew with West Ham. That was a good point for West Ham because they're struggling at the moment in the league. And they beat Fulham, but Fulham put up a good fight, 2-1. Whereas you've got ours 4-2 Arsenal, and let's be honest with you, we had our arses spanked, and they were totally and utterly all over us. Southampton, yeah, that was one you could say that got away. Chelsea should have maybe done better. Should have maybe got a draw. They were down to 10. We lost to Man United. Could have got something from that maybe. Oh, Brighton. I mean, we were running around like headless chickens. I mean, you know, everybody says, well, Brendan's not got a plan B. Well, I'll tell you what, his plan A was pretty shit that day. But also his B, C, and D plans, it looks like he was trying them all together. Some players were playing one, some were playing the other. And I don't think he knew. I don't think the players knew what they were doing, to be honest with you. But like it or not, we have had 2 weeks off. And we have to take advantage of that. Brendan, and let's be honest with you, Brendan's, it's the way he is, it's his accent, etc., etc. He never is going to sound like he's, yeah, come on, go. His press conferences are always, well, yeah, okay, we've had the 2 weeks off and we've been able to get down. That's how it is. We have to accept that. He's no Martin O'Neill on that side. Yeah. Let's hope he has taken advantage of that. Cyber Leader is in. Hello, Cyber. How the devil are you? Welcome along, sir. Did you play midweek in Europe? Did you? I think you won. Remind me. But you need to do it in the Premier League. Yes, indeed you do. David, they must have included our win versus. No, actually, that's a point. That is a point, David. I think they probably did include that. Craig's with us, so we'll be bringing him in 1 second. This is, they call it goal distribution. Oh, you're playing now. Good luck, mate. Fingers crossed for you. Of course, it's Thursday night. I'm lost with my nights. Best of luck for you, mate. I hope you do well. Can't find a good stream. I know. It's there's not so many out there now. But this is when the goals are scored. So it could be interesting because apart from the 30 to 45 minute period when we both seem to score, and that it's pretty much spread even. But what I like about that is if you look at the top one, which is Tottenham, look at that 75 to 90 minutes. We are conceding some, but they are conceding a lot at the moment as well. But like I say, Cyber, good luck, mate. Hope you bring it home, as they say. I should have gone to Specsavers. My eyes, you know. There's the season stats so far. I'm going to have to zoom in on my other screen. I need to get some new glasses. I'm not sure which. Tottenham on the top again because they're the home team. 50% ball possession, 381 attacks, 11 offsides. That compares to ours 53 possession, 625 attacks, 9 offsides. So a hell of a lot more attacks for us. What were we doing with it? Shots on target, 37 for them, and 20 for us there. Well, that kind of says it, I suppose. Off target, 51 for them, 42. So we're having the attacks, we're just not having the shots. And I can see that. 38 corners to our 9. and player rating 6.96 and 6.67. So that's not too much different. Again, one thing I noticed there, which is worth pointing out, Tottenham's yellow cards, 14. Now, I know we've got a bit of a powder puff girls sort of team at the moment, but maybe if somebody wants to stick their foot in there. Did I say that out loud? But then again, in fairness, we can't beat 10 men either, can we? So it's six of one and half a dozen of the other, really. But there we go. And then we will the next slide is the goals, the score predictions, which I will come on to at the end. But he is very patiently sat in the wings. Probably enjoying the absolute splendor of the hospitality in the green room, and he'll probably come on here pissed out of his brain. He won't. You know, Craig, you won't do that. Let's get him in. He's just fallen off his chair. Craig, good evening, sir. How the devil are you?
I'm good, thanks. Good evening, Chris. Good evening, everyone. How are you? How are you doing, Chris?
Well, I'm doing very well. You are our quintessential quizmaster. Nice.
Quintessential. Excellent.
Yes. I know you didn't know I knew such words, did you?
I didn't. No. I'd like you to spell it now.
I had to Google it to find it, mate. But we were going to have Simon. We've had him on before. Tonight, unfortunately, he's had to rush his son into hospital. So,
we'll wish him all the best.
Exactly, best wishes. I have tried to get another one in. It hasn't worked. And Brad may or may not be joining us, but I have offered it to him as well. So, but no, to Simon, I hope your son's okay and everything's works out for you. Douglas is in. Good evening, Doug. How the devil are you? No, I didn't send you any jokes today, so no jokes. You'll only set me off. Craig, 2 weeks off. Love it or hate that there was no games last weekend, or agree with it or agree with it not. And we will come on to that maybe towards the end because of something I'm doing tomorrow. But I can't predict us to win. I haven't predicted us to win. To be honest with you, it's not often I do that. But like I say, I need the points in the prediction league. But I mean, do you think we got any chance in this game? And to me, if we lose it, it's not a sackable. It's not, you can't sack Brendan Rodgers if we lose this game because it's Spurs.
No, it's funny. I mean, part of me thinks that what's going on the pitch at the moment could be some ways secondary to what's going on behind the scenes, because he does seem to be falling out with a lot of people. He's coming out and saying some things that I'm sure won't be going down particularly well with the owners and the people who run the club. So, but you're right, in isolation, a game away at Spurs, not many people would be given as much chance of a victory there anyway. But we've had some surprising victories there. I remember, I think Huth scoring a winner for us. I was there when we beat them in the cup, and when Jeff Schlupp actually scored. So
yes,
one of those rare seconds. Yeah. So you never know, and just looking at those
end stats. Mark De Vries, or was that at Filbert Street when Mark De Vries scored?
That was Mark De Vries. That was at Filbert Street. That was a 3-2 victory. That was last minute.
Yeah.
But just looking at some of those stats, in the most surprising one probably the number of attacks that we had, sort of 20% more than they had, because you look at the attacking prowess that they've got with Kane, obviously, who just always scores against us.
Yeah.
With Son, with Kulusevski, who was a great signing for them last season, and now they've added Richarlison, who also seems to like scoring against us. So they've got some threat going forward, but Conte's not a particularly attack-minded coach. I think he sets his stall out to be more solid. So I think Spurs look like an attacking team because they play a lot on the break. So when you see the highlights on Match of the Day and the like, it's usually them breaking at speed with 3 or 4 players flying forward. But just looking at those stats there, in terms of build-up play and building sustained attacks, I'm not sure they're as potent as they have been in the past.
No, I'm just bringing it. No, just bring it back up if I can. And the thing, as I said there, and we'll come to that in a second, Doug. But the fact they had less shots on, they had less attacks than us, but they had more shots on target.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how many shots you have. Yeah. If you're not getting them on target, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, exactly. But don't forget, I mean, a lot of those attacks wouldn't, when we were playing one up front, as we have been most of the season, probably wouldn't have ended in a goal attempt anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think if he goes with a 2 again, I think we should be more dangerous and give them more trouble than if it was a lone striker, to be honest.
And we're going to come off. So we're going to pick you're going to pick the team later. Yeah. I have no response. I was watching Lee Chappie's channel earlier, and he actually let his viewers pick the squad. Right, I went, "Oh, great idea! Then you don't have any responsibility for it." But he has a lot more watching, obviously. Doug says, and we did touch on that. I don't think you can sack him after this game if we lose, because it's one that you would expect to lose. And I'm not thinking awful when you expect to lose it. I mean, Maisie, the Man United fan, she called the Villa game, which should have gone ahead last week. And if you saw it on the website earlier, it was what Brendan was going to be talking about tonight. Somebody cocked up there at lcfc.com. That one she christened El Sacchio, which I thought was brilliant. Yeah. But I can't on this one. And it's amazing. I've had these 2 weeks, and you know me, I can't. My arse is full of splinters because I can't decide which side of the fence to get off. 1 minute I want him gone.
Yeah.
The next minute I'm like, well, yeah, that guy said something. A couple of journalists, that I respect, and when they say it, I'm thinking like, yeah, okay. Usually I want him gone after I've seen the performance and his substitutes and what have you. But obviously you make a substitute, he scores in the next 2 seconds and you're a tactical genius. But when I was looking, and I did this earlier with Doug, but I think it's worth doing again with yourself. If I can find it, that is. When you look at the games we've played this season, including Tottenham tomorrow, we have played 4 of the so-called Big 6 in the first time. Now, if that was at the end of the season, we'd be sat here going, oh, God, what an ending we've got. But,
Yeah.
And I think if we didn't have those Big 4 in there, sorry, and I don't like saying Big 4, but it's just easy to say, you know what I mean? If we didn't have those Big 4 in there, then we could be probably sat mid-table and everybody's sort of everything in the garden's rosy, so to speak. I mean, Brentford, we should have held on to that, and that's the thing. So that was a point drop. Arsenal gave us a lesson, didn't they? They really did. Southampton, we shouldn't have let it slip, but we beat them 9-0, and a couple of months later they beat us, at Filbert Street.
They did.
Chelsea. Maybe we should have got something from the 10-man against them. And again, Man United, who had an awful start themselves, but then they are coming better under Ten Hag. Yeah. And then, of course, the Brighton debacle. And I think when you look at if Brighton had been 1-0, again, I don't think it would have looked as bad.
No.
But I just think, when you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, and Spurs coming up, but you're not winning your other games around it.
Yeah,
you're in trouble, which obviously we are. So, is it my question to you? And it was a long time coming, but I'm going to get there. You've been learning off Brad. I mean, I've been learning off Reese. My God, he's got to be the longest answers to quiz questions.
I know. Throw a few more facts in, please.
Yeah, but love him to bits, Reese. has it been a bad start as we think it has? And I'm not going to say it's only 6 games, because we could be saying that, but has it been as bad a start as we are thinking it is?
That probably not. As you say, it could have been very different. Bit better defending, a bit more belief in the team, and you would have think we should have won against Brentford. We should have at least got a point. Probably another. We should be, in theory, if we were at it, we'd have been sitting with at least another 6 points. And we would be, as you say, mid-table. I think it's the way that we seem to implode in games. I think that's the more worrying issue. The fact that we, even when Brentford got 1 back, we didn't look like we were going to go and get the 3rd, to kill the game off. We tended to go in our shell. The same against Southampton. We got a goal up and we went back into our shell. And it's that kind of lack of confidence in ourselves that as soon as we're ahead or we're in a game, then we'll sit back and almost allow pressure on. So I don't think it's as bad, but there are worrying signs. And I think, Terry, the same there, and I'll say the same to Doug. It's not necessarily sackable if it's a defeat. I think it will be the manner of the performance.
Yes.
It could be a shocking performance and we get a point. But a lucky point in some way. So I think it's the manner of that, the message that it sends, whether the players are playing for him, whether we have some structure and shape to the team, whether we look like more of a team together rather than a group of individuals. I think all of these things will come into play, and Brendan must know. Well, again, he's a winner either way, isn't he? He stays and he gets, he keeps his job, he goes and he gets 10 mil. I'm sure he would love to be turning it round. It's dangerous because it's an international break. So he's got this game and then he's got 2 weeks without a game.
Is that such a bad thing now? If you're on a poor run of form, is it a chance? And he said this last 2 weeks has been a chance to regroup.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for him, but it means that the management structure at the club have time to be looking around, contemplating, taking things. Yes. This will be probably because it was an enforced break. This one you can't plan. This international break has been in the calendar from day one. I would imagine this was the first evaluation point from Brendan and his coaches and the team, but also from the management structure of the football club. We get to this point. We should have been 8 games in, I think, by now. After this game, that's your first evaluation point. So I think that there will be. I would imagine there'll be meetings already organised to see where they are in the plan for what this season was supposed to bring. So from that perspective, I think it may be a dangerous time for Brendan.
After that break, we've then got a very, very busy October. We're going to be fed up with each other by the end of October. We've got 6 games in October, but
winnable games.
Yeah, exactly. That was the phrase I was looking for. Nottingham Forest at home. Fingers crossed. Bournemouth. I love the fact that I was on a show earlier. I was on Dan's, interested in the chat, and there was a Forest fan in there, and he was lording it all over us. I went, "You're only 19th." You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Wind that neck back in a little bit, mate. So we're at home to Forest, we're away to Bournemouth, home to Palace, home to Leeds, away to Wolves. And then we've got Man City, but we'll forget Man City. But those 5 games, I would say, potentially are all winnable.
Yeah, on you would expect on a normal season, the way we've been playing over the last few seasons, you may think, okay, that there's always an odd one in there that you may drop some points, maybe Palace. But you would be looking at those and thinking, right, this is an opportunity to get a healthy points haul. So that goes in Brendan's favour because he can we know he can try and, you know, charm his way or talk his way out of anything. And if he felt under pressure, he would be telling those in the upper echelons of the club, look at these games that we've got coming up. I'm fully confident that we can get points, blah, 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 and we'll be looking in a much better picture. If that's the case, then I guess what we'll say is, after that run of games, he's out of excuses.
Yes, definitely. I don't know if you saw the press conference.
No, I not had a chance.
What they've got up on lcfc.com, we showed it live here earlier on our press conference review, is only 12 minutes. And a couple of that was taken up with a match. And I kind of noticed it this time more than before, that Brendan, he's in that, any manager that is in that position, Rafa when he was at Newcastle, Steve Bruce when he was at Newcastle, anybody when they were at Newcastle and they're down that end, or Norwich or Watford, they get asked the same questions week after week after week. And you get fed up with answering or finding and what you must do, coming up with a different way to answer the questions. I have been screaming for Pratt to come on and play. He said in the press conference he's got a foot injury. And he's been playing through, the pain barrier and training through the pain barrier. Now, I didn't know that. I've been screaming for him to be starting and all this, that, and the other. But then nobody in the journalist side has asked him that question.
No, I do find it pretty annoying. I know Jordan asks him some sort of pointed questions and tries to dig a bit deeper. But it annoys me that too often, and obviously I've not been at a press conference, so I don't know how structured they are, how much leeway they get. But it seems to be that very often you ask a question, you get an answer, and then it's someone else. You rarely seem to get a follow-up question to be able to say, okay, that's all well and good, but, and then ask it. For me, if you're good enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to play. If he's trained, I'm surprised he's training if he's got a foot injury. That doesn't sound right to me. You would have thought you'd be off. You wouldn't be training on something that's causing you not to be able to play. That just seems to make no sense. And it's this kind of thing that makes it sound like it's not a happy camp and he's coming up with excuses. I know this week there's been a bit of to and fro about some of his comments about Castagna. And I did chip in on Twitter with that one. That the thing is, people fall into camps. There's the likes of you and me who are probably, as you said earlier, fully splintered at the moment in terms of on the fence. But then you get, the Rodgers out, and it doesn't matter what he says, they'll spin it into a way that it means, Rodgers has lost the plot. You'll get the Rodgers in who will spin it the other way. For me, it was interesting how some people, supporters of let's get Rodgers out, were using that Castagna one as if, because I think he'd come out and said something along the lines, he's not been training to the levels that we expect, and therefore he's been, as we should say, rested. He said the same about Soyuncu. And people were using that and saying, that's typical Brendan. Castagna's been one of our best performers this season. He's clearly lost the dressing room. My viewpoint on that was, for me, if he's not been putting it all in training, you don't deserve to play. For me, that's a bottom line. You should be training to your maximum and earning the shirt. As soon as anyone feels like they own the shirt, that's a problem. One word, Southgate. Let's not get into that because I'll just go off on one there. But the thing is, as soon as you think you own the shirt, you lose the desire to keep the shirt. It doesn't matter how well I play. I can coast through training. I know I'm playing. That's wrong. That can't be. There may be other things going on, but fundamentally, you can't coast through training, in my opinion.
You shouldn't be allowed to, should you?
No.
And if that was read, and it's like statistics. I mean, I brought those stats up, and I do those 20 minutes with the stats at the start of these shows now. I read them one way. Somebody else can read them another way. You know,
Yeah.
it's politics. That's how, you know, you get the same story comes out, and I've seen it. The same story on the front page of the Sun and on the front page of the Mirror. Totally two opposing views
Yeah.
on the same subject, and we won't know. We don't know what goes on at training. We never will.
No.
And I had, I'm not going to say, we had a discussion earlier on the show. As I was saying about Tielemans, is that, you know, he you know, I brought a picture of him up scoring the goal at Wembley, doing the heart over the badge and all that. And I said, you know, if he felt that good, why isn't he signing another contract? He can put as many clauses as he wants in it, but
Yeah.
it just means at least we'll get some money for it. I've lost respect for him.
Yeah.
And, you know, Brad was saying, well, you know, maybe the agreement is, look, you know, you give 100%, you know, every game that you go out, and you know, we'll let you, you know, go on a free at the end of the season. And I'm like, bollocks. He should be doing that anyway. That's what he's paid to do.
It shouldn't be part of an agreement, should it?
No, not at all. But again, that's one of those. Don't get me started on that one sort of thing. But we will never know. You know, we've got a bit of a history at Leicester. You know, Pearson sometimes was accused of losing the dressing room, but I do think that most of the time he had the players who could go through a brick wall for him.
Yeah.
And I've got to be honest, the funny thing was, as I say, was on Dan's show earlier. They're playing Bristol City at the weekend, who have got Nigel Pearson as the manager, who right at the start of the season he could have jacked it in. And I was quite interested to read it, whilst I was still insulting the Nottingham Forest guy in the chat, that he was so pleased with Pearson. He said it's taken him a few years, but he's got rid of the overpaid players that were being paid too much at this level, you know, that didn't deserve to be here. And he says the team will go out and fight for him. And I think you always got that with Pearson. No, Ranieri came along. Did he lose the dressing room? There was rumours. Puel. It's almost like a get-out clause that fans, he's lost the dressing room, let's get him out.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. There's a massive difference between a manager and a coach for me. And I'll say it again, I think Brendan's probably a very good coach, but I don't think he's a particularly good manager. And I hate the fact that to be a manager in the Premier League, you have to have your coaching badges. Why? You employ coaches to coach.
Yeah.
You're the manager to manage. Yeah. And that means the ins and outs of everything else. It means getting inside the player's head. It means motivating them. You know, tactics is one thing. You know, what and pitch formation, team formation, this, that, and the other. Yes, you get involved in that. But football at that level, everybody's a good footballer. So it's all about organisation and motivation. They're the two things. Everything else, if you get those right, should take care of themselves. Yeah. And that's a manager's job. That's a manager's job for me. And if you can't do that, then that's when you...
This is probably the most sense I've ever heard you speak, you know, that point. But I agree totally, you know, a manager, whatever business you're in, whether it's football, sales, retail, whatever, a manager is a good manager because he picks a good team.
Yeah.
And when he sees the weak link, they always say you're only as strong as your weakest link. You get rid of the weakest link, or you train the weakest link up to be better, because if the better manager you are, you know why you would hopefully have a discussion with him, know why it's going wrong, and help him to improve. Yep. But if not, and that, like you say, that's the manager's job. But you have assistant managers, you know, and the guy that owns BP, I'm sure, doesn't go in there every day thinking, I wonder if Joe at Blackpool got this targets this week, you know. Don't 100% sort of agree with you, but they get paid the big bucks. It's where it stops.
Yeah.
Let's just catch up with some questions, because we've got a few now in the chat. Terry says here, if we lose Saturday, since which year have we had such an appalling start? I think this is the worst. Well, it is. I'm sure I've read that this is the worst start we've ever had in the Premier League. Yeah.
I can't remember it. Usually you've picked up a win, a couple of draws by now. And I think it's the manner of those first couple of games where we gave lost points from winning positions that sort of demoralizes you, and it just feeds. It's like oxygen to the flames, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're feeding it at the moment, and we need something, whether it's a lucky shot to go in off someone's backside or whatever. We need a break. I don't think we've had a break, to be honest. I know football isn't about luck, but you do need the odd bit of luck.
I mean, I think you've got to have a bit of luck. I think you make your own luck. There is that, but I think you do need a bit of luck. But when you look at the table, all right, I'll say we're 6 games in, but we can be saying that forever. But who would have thought Arsenal would have been top? You know, who would have thought Liverpool would only have been in 7th?
Yeah.
You know, having only won 2 of the 6 games that they've played. Who would have thought Leeds would have been in 9th? You know, who'd have thought Southampton would have been up there in 12th? And then at the other end, you probably thought Everton were going to be there. But West Ham United, you know, I'd have thought they'd have been at the other end, you know. And Nottingham Forest, and again, I jokingly said this, you know, one of the only team I think I've ever known that got promoted that went out and bought the team.
Yeah.
You know, how much have they spent to be sat there in 19th place? It is a very odd looking table at the moment.
It just shows you, I mean, it shows you how difficult it is to predict anything and how football can change. The only thing you can say is that you can only judge a manager when he's got his team.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we can argue that the team that we have at the minute is Rodgers' team, but Rodgers knew that it needed freshening up.
Yeah.
And he's not been able to do it. Let's face it, this is Arteta's team. With what Arteta inherited, he would have been sacked by 90% of the Arsenal fan base.
Still, to be fair.
Yeah, you know, Hassan Hüttl has had 2 9-0 defeats, and he could have easily walked. Yet he's got different set of players in there. He's identified where they were lacking. I'm not saying they're going to be challenging for anything, but they're solid enough. He could have easily been sat, and I'm sure most of their fans would have wanted him out after the second one. So it just shows you how difficult it is to predict anything in football and how it can change. The thing is, get the players that you want on the pitch, and then you get judged. So it's a tricky one on
this is his team, in fairness, isn't it? Because he's had it now 3 seasons. Yes, he would have looked to have refreshed it because everybody else did in the Premier League. And we've had the discussion on several, you know, times. Was he held out, you know, wrung out to dry and held out, you know, we're not being told, etc. But it's gone now. The thing that worries me is that I'm looking at 14th here down to 20th. Wolves have got Man City. So you're going to say probably Man City will win that. Palace have got Chelsea. All right, Palace might get a point, but you think they're not going to probably beat Chelsea. But then Everton have got West Ham, who are down there. Villa have got Southampton. Forest have got Fulham. So for me, Everton, Villa, West Ham, Forest, they've all pretty much got winnable games. And then we've got Spurs. And it's that gap that's worrying me that's going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, you don't want the old mind the gap situation, because then every game is a pressure game. That's the problem. It becomes self-fulfilling. That even the winnable games that we've just talked about become must-win games.
Yeah.
So the pressure that comes with that. And you do find out a lot about not only the players, but the manager. You know, you find out a lot about the fans as well. You know, let's face it, you know, we're finding out a lot about our fan base this season, that's for sure. And the definition of fan versus supporter. But yeah, it's worrying times. I think we're all, even those sort of staunch Brendan in brigade are still worried, because whether you like him or not, whether you believe he can turn it around or not, the fact of the matter is we're at the bottom of the table, and it could get worse by the end of the weekend.
As everybody says, you know, it's an old saying, but it's a results business.
Unfortunately, it is. And the problem is, you know, if you have got the same players, the reason managers freshen it up is the fact that after 3 years, do you still listen to the same voice with the the sort of excitement that you did when you first came into the club, a fresh voice, fresh ideas. Once you've had 3 years of it, it's just a natural thing to think, okay, I could switch off. I've heard it all before, so that's why managers try and freshen things up, to bring players in, to put pressure on those who have got the shirt. And this is why, again, you need to be doing it in training, because everything becomes stale, and you just go through the motions and you pick your wages up at the end of the day.
When you look at our squad, though, Daka can put pressure on Vardy. Sumari can put pressure on Ndidi. KDH could be putting pressure. So we have got players in the squad that can be putting pressure on. But we know he's got his favourites. Gareth Southgate has got his favourites. And I guess, even as a manager, when I was managing a sales team, I've got to be honest with you, I probably knew which members of my staff would give me that little bit extra if I asked them, and which ones, I can't do overtime, and which ones would get me results. And I can remember, on more than one occasion, thinking, oh, this is a big call. The call's coming. This is a really big call. I'm going to give that one to Bella, because I know Bella will really push for it.
Yeah.
And then, that's only worth a bit. Yeah. Les can have that one, because do you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. I mean, David says here, if we win playing well, do you still want him gone? I mean, we just said, aren't we? We're both splintered up. I've never wanted us to lose.
No, exactly.
Puel would have probably gone early had he not had those 2 good results over Christmas. But yeah, if we win, why would you want him to go? If you're winning and playing well,
exactly. Exactly. That comes back to that thing about saying, you spin it, don't you? You can't start hoping that we lose just to get rid of a manager.
Yes. Yeah. Terry, a good question here, and it is a very good point, Terry. I bet those other 5 teams are also saying they are winnable against Leicester.
Yeah, they'll all be like, it's a great time to play Leicester, Yes. That's it. That comes with it, doesn't it? Where you're sitting at the bottom, everybody wants to play you.
But then that's sometimes, they poking the bear a little bit, isn't it? And
it is. I mean, the worrying thing is, how long it goes on before it becomes a really tough ask to get yourself out of it. Because, as I say, every game becomes a pressure game. And it's rare, isn't it, that teams manage to claw themselves out. There's usually, I would say, 3 ways of doing it. One, we saw under Pearson, and he just switched formation. He went to the classic sort of 4-4-2, almost went out to just outscore the opposition, and it clicked. He found a formula and it worked. Number 2 is you have a big change of personnel in the January transfer window. You get some new players in who give you a spark, and you manage to go on a good run the second half of the season. 3, you change the manager. Now, number 1, a change of ideas and formation from Brendan. I can't see it happening. 2, are we going to suddenly find some money, or are people going to come and want our players more in January than they did?
Yeah, the papers, our new head of recruitment's got all these players lined up. I don't know where the money's coming from.
Well, I mean, the ones that have come in at Southampton this season, I quite like. So if he's responsible for them, then fair play.
Yeah. What I'm saying is we're being linked, because always looking at but where's that money suddenly coming from, like you just said?
True, but most of those that he brought in weren't big names. They were people on, if your scouting network is good enough, then you get these players and you get them early.
We know, we've been there.
I mean, we've done it. I mean, you only got to look at the Champions League and the Europa League to see there's a hell of a lot of really good players out there. The young kid who's tearing it up at the minute for Shakhtar looks a fantastic player. They know he's a fantastic player, though, even though he's young, and they want 50 million, and they turn down the likes of 30 million in this window. But he's come out saying, I know of all of that. It didn't happen. I get my head down and I play for Shakhtar. But he looks a real, catch. there's some good players out there, isn't there? You just need to be able to identify them, and that's why those people like we had going back years with Steve Walsh and the like are worth their weight in gold.
I'm just saying, the year 2000, yesterday, Steve Walsh left for Norwich City. So I'd throw that one in there for you. But a lot of people are saying that, like, oh, you know, why have we got all these plans that have been approved to buy and all, you know, we're building this and we're building that and expanding this, but that doesn't affect our FFP. If anything, the ground slightly helps it. So that is a different pot almost, isn't it?
It is a different pot. And I've said this before, and a friend of mine, Keith, who I saw had responded to this on Facebook earlier, and he put quite a lengthy reply. And anybody who's read anything that was in the program that the chairman had said can understand that these are two separate things, and it's all part of a longer term plan to stop us from being a selling club. You know, that's where all this infrastructure is, and it's not just the ground going to 40,000; it's all the other bits and pieces that are on that development that will bring in more money, which means that we can generate more money as a club rather than from selling. And that's and the chairman was quite clear about it. Our profit, our money to spend on players, has all been generated through player trading, which means every season you're going to get rid of an asset, and you can't do that long term. So this is all part of trying to change the ethos of the club, the stature of the club, to bring in more money from player trading. We're just, you know, we've got to go through a season or two where it's a bit tight. You just hope and pray that you can actually get through it and keep our Premier League status. And all those fans who were saying that fifth wasn't good enough, I bet it is now.
Yes. And we have to take off our blue tinted spectacles, and we've got to say, when we increase our capacity, we will still only be half the size of Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Old Trafford may be older and creakier and leakier, but it's still twice the size. Tottenham Hotspur, is it 3 or 4 times the size of ours? That's their FFP. That's why their FFP is so much more lenient than ours is. And I just think, like, we can't compete. And I think it was Rob Tanner that said this, that we cannot compete. We can't sit at the top table when we're sat with the McDonald's. Yeah. And we've got to say we have been, you know, those 5th places, we have exceeded expectations. Other clubs have gone by the wayside. Arsenal and Spurs have had, the few dodgy years, and that allowed us to come through. But I would sooner, and in whatever we say about Brendan, I have complete and utter faith in what Top is doing when he's running this club. And if it is, like you say, a couple of lean seasons where we have to finish maybe 15th, 14th, 16th, maybe a little bit worried, but we stay in the Premier League and still have a club, that is what I want. And I said this before you came in, Craig, that I don't want to be a Derby County where we take a risk on doing that next stage. It fails, we're suddenly hit by FFP fines, points deducted, and we're down a division. I don't want that. We've been there, seen it, had the T-shirt. I don't particularly want it back again, you know. But on a lighter note, a quick question from Doug here. If Craig could compare himself to a quizmaster, who would he say?
I would like to think Clarkson from A Millionaire.
That wasn't the one that sprung to my mind first.
A little bit of Devilment who enjoys.
Yes.
Enjoys.
Did you see the clip where the siren goes off?
Yeah.
You know what that means? Said, I've got to go and get changed. But no, I had you down more as an Anne Robinson. I'm not going to.
Did you?
I'm not going to lie.
Did you? Okay. I think that probably says more about you, Chris.
Probably, yes. I have a bit of a liking for the older woman, you know. Terry says, "Be honest, Craig. Some of the excuses are laughable." Yeah,
they are. I mean, I can say that it's that behaviour he's a manager who's backed into a corner, isn't he?
Yeah.
And especially the press and the fans, when someone's feeling the pressure, they love it. It's a story, so they're going to poke away with a stick and see what they can get. And for all the media training that these people should be getting, he's lost his charm, hasn't he? Whether you liked it and put it across as arrogance early on, there was a little bit of a charm to Brendan. He could smile his way and chat his way out of it. I think you see the reality of somebody when they're up against it. And yeah, exactly. And he's showing classic Mourinho traits at the moment, which is worrying for everyone, that he wants to, at all costs, almost protect his own reputation.
Well, and you may not have many arguments with your good lady, but when you have an argument and it's one-on-one, it stays pretty, it can stay pretty okay, But then suddenly, if her sister comes in and her best friend comes in, it's 3 against you, you are fighting like a caged tiger because you're on your own. You've got all this. And that's how Rodgers and all these managers must feel at times.
Yeah, it becomes very defensive. Defensive and deflective is what I would say.
Yeah.
What I don't like is the fact that it's difficult when you're being asked a direct question. And I think we forget that sometimes, that all we get quoted back to us is the answers. Rodgers said this, Rodgers said that, Rodgers said the other. Rarely are they quoted with the question that came before it, which is potentially, what can you tell us about why you haven't chosen Castagna? Is it anything to do with how he's been training because you said something about Soyuncu before? Well, yes, that's the case. We do see these press conferences, but all the other press that we don't get to see, you don't know how questions are very often worded and phrased. And these are clever journalists. They're phrased in such a way to try and get a soundbite.
Yes.
But for me, he should be, if he's going to use deflection tactics, it should be to take it away from individual players and not necessarily discuss individual players. The flip side of that is that as fans, we want our managers to be open and tell us what's going on, but we can't have it always. I would love us to be the next fly on the wall documentary, because I think that whole dynamic with, Top and the owners and the management team and the manager, I just think would be absolutely fascinating. I can't see it ever happening, to be honest, but I'd love to know what really goes on at the place.
Yes, yeah. Doug says here, Southgate hates Maddison. I know. Yeah. Thing is, let's be honest. Would you pick any player from a team that is bottom of the league with 1 point after 6 games to represent England?
Let's flip it. Would you pick a player who has played about 10 minutes, if that, this season? Calvin Phillips. Has he got off the bench for Man City? Yeah, he's in the squad. Maguire comes on as a sub. He's in the squad. For me, it's like we're talking about in Leicester City training. As soon as you think you own the shirt, your desire goes. Mason Mount does not deserve that shirt. I like Mason Mount as a player, but in terms of form, he doesn't deserve to be in the squad, let alone be starting every game. When there are players who have had better seasons or the second half of the season. Maddison was miles away from Mason Mount in terms of stats, goals, goal involvements. Yet he can't get a look in because Gareth is happy with the squad that he's got. So where's the desire from a Mason Mount to lose his place in the squad to then go out and really show what he's worth and come back a better player than what got him into the squad in the first place? It's never going to happen because it doesn't matter how he plays. He's in the squad. It's absolutely pathetic. He's a joke of a manager and he should have been gone after the World Cup.
Even though he got us to a Euro final.
Don't care. You would have got us to the Euros with that squad.
Well, thank you.
Players at his disposal And then what he does is expose young players to all the vitriol that they got by making them take penalties. Taking a young lad like Saka, go on, you have the last penalty. I mean, absolutely ridiculous behaviour.
I mean, you see, we didn't want to go down this route,
No.
but the green lights come on and the traffic's turning, and we're stuck in the lane. You see, to me, I get it. Don't get me wrong, but at what point do you say, oh well, he's old enough to play for England, he's old enough to be picked for England, but don't wrap him in cotton wool. We don't want to give him a penalty. He doesn't, he shouldn't be worried about the vitriol that he'll get off the fans if he misses, because that's not Southgate. Southgate can't control that. What Southgate does is have a look in training. He has penalty competitions, and those were the 5 that were scoring the most penalties.
I get that, but I don't understand the order that they were in. I agree with you on that one. You can accuse me of doing exactly what I've just said earlier. I'm spinning it because I don't like him, so I will find the negative. And you're quite rightly, as your role is to take the devil's advocate view. I just don't think he's got the bottle to be an international manager. I don't think he makes the right decisions, and he contradicts himself the whole time. How long was it that he was banging on when he first got the job? Everyone will be picked on club form. Those who are in form will be picked. They'll be the ones in the squad. Now you don't even have to play to get in the squad.
I agree. I'm not saying I don't see your point here, but how often does a government say one thing when they're voted in, and 4.5 years later, it's still not been done, or they've changed their mind about something, because things happen. And I just think, as an England manager, that as Brendan gets all the hassle off Leicester fans because he's picking the wrong team. He's not picking Soyuncu. He should be picking Pratt. He's getting all that hassle. That is 20 times over for the England manager, because he's got it from all the clubs. Because he's a Leicester player, we think he should be in. Maybe he's looking at it, and maybe he's seeing what Brendan's saying about how he is at training and all this, that, and the other. And I don't think just Gareth. I think that's the same with every England manager that goes in can only pick 22 players from 20 clubs, or 25, whatever it is, from 20 clubs, and he has to pick the ones that he feels can do the job for him. Now, that's going to upset a lot of people. Gazza didn't go to with Glenn Hoddle to a World Cup. Gary Lineker was taken off by Graham Taylor. England managers are on a hiding to nothing as soon as they take that job. Don Revie, I was looked back at that 76-77 season. Don Revie, champions of England, got them virtually to a European semi-final. We failed to get to 2 competitions with him as manager, and he buggered off to the UAE for the money. And I just feel that with Gareth Southgate, and I'm like you say, we're spinning it here. I just think we've got, and we'll get back onto Leicester after, I promise. But I just think that under him, we've got to, a quarter-final, a semi-final, and a final. And I do think that it's a bit of a, hashtag Arteta, that whatever he does, he will get, if he wins the World Cup first, people will still get, but he didn't play Madison.
Yeah, I get all that. What I would say would be 2 things. If you're not going to pick players on form, why bother going to games for a start? You see him up in the stand making his note. What's the point? Is he there just to check whether they're alive? Because if you're watching the same games that everybody else is watching, then you can see that certain players are not performing. So why go? Just watch Match of the Day and pick your team off that, which is what it seems to be doing. He can't be going to Man City and watching Grealish and Calvin Phillips and thinking they're playing well enough to be in my squad, when the fact is they're not even playing. So stay at home, Gareth. Do some more pizza adverts or something. I don't care. But what I'll say, the final thing I'll say is, in the same way it is, you've got to create a feeling of my place is under pressure to be an England squad. And just like a club team, a national team needs freshening it up. Mount will respond or not if he thinks his shirt is under pressure. And I'm picking on Mount just because he's done bugger all. But he's not the only one. We've said this before. Kane, could go through patches and nobody ever put pressure on him, to be honest. He was always picked. You can almost forgive that. His record is phenomenal. Fair enough. But as soon as you think, I've got this England shirt, I don't have to work hard anymore, you're on a slippery slope.
No, you make the point very well, and I would agree. Say devil's advocates and all that. Totally agree with you on the points you made. I suppose the thing is, and again, I'll say this is my last thing as well, is that I have two people. I have a gentleman who goes along to the matches and picks my man of the match for me for the website. I have another gentleman that writes the report for me, and usually at the end puts his man of the match. Very, very rare do they agree, but they've both been to the same match.
I get that, yeah.
Again, I'm only playing devil's advocate, but you can see what I'm saying. But anyway, let's move on because it's not about Gareth.
Yeah.
I want to say, Doug, you are a gentleman, sir. Thank you so very much for that. Really does mean a lot. Thank you so very much. And when I was saying about Liverpool fans before, you obviously are the nicer one. Well said, Craig Southgate. He did say, and that was, I've got to say, agreeing totally. He did say when he came in, he was going to pick players on form. And yes, I agree 100%. As long as those players fit into the formation he wants, it's no good having to say, win back if you're going to play 4-4-2. But as long as they are fitting in the formation, it should be the players on form.
Just last thing on that. 12 defenders. 12 defenders in that squad. How many do you need?
I haven't actually looked at the squad because we didn't get any players in. I thought, I can't be bothered. It'll only annoy me, but 12
defenders.
Maybe he's thinking, if we go 1-0 up, we'll put all 12 on and defend.
Plus, and that's not counting his defensive midfielders.
Well, yes, yeah. Let's be honest with you. Again, it's another job that whoever it is will never be happy. Let's just hope Graham Potter doesn't do well at Chelsea and he can take over. Spurs fan TM is in. Good evening. How the devil are you? Welcome along. Nice of you to join us. David asks you here. Doug says Chris Tarrant for Craig. That's not bad, actually. That's quite good. David says here, so if we analyse Spurs, what are their weaknesses and who and how can we play to take advantage of the few opportunities we may have? We're going to pick the team in a second, but can you see any weakness? I mean, they have got weaknesses. Haven't they?
Well, they have. I think their main focus is the fact they like to get the ball forward quickly. They are the quintessential attack on the break, very much like we were when we won the league. Any Spurs fans watching, we won the league.
Where did Spurs come that season?
Well, it was a 2-horse race, third.
ITO.
So that's where they're going to hurt you, because I don't think they're particularly they're solid, aren't they? So they're not particularly creative, I don't think, in the middle of the park. When you look at the players they've got in there, Højbjerg is a grafter. They've got grafters. Harry Winks when he plays. Basuma, they've bought another grafter. So that's where I think you've got the opportunity to get our creative players such as Maddison on the ball in and around that little pocket of space in between Dyer. And if we've got two up front, Dyer's not the most mobile. So that sort of quick interchange around there in between their defensive midfielders and their centre halves, I think, is our best option. And then managing to turn the ball over when their wing backs are pushed forward as well. And you can do that more with the two up front. You can get centre halves isolated and run out into those channels. So I do think they have weaknesses, but it's exploiting those weaknesses. But the weaknesses they will show will be on the back of us stopping their breakaways, I think. So when they do push forward at pace, getting a quick turnover and then doing it back to them.
I'm probably going to file this under grasping at straws at number 500,468. But Tottenham, I mean, they're sat in third. They're having a good season.
Yeah.
I think they've got a very good manager, and I think they could possibly put up a good fight for the title this season.
What's their goals?
They have scored
against.
They've only scored 12.
Yeah.
In fact, let me. I can show you, young man.
Thank you.
Funny you should ask that. He says.
I know you've got all this at your fingertips, Chris. So.
Well, I did. I just had to get it in the run of it. They've scored 12, which is only 4 more than we have.
Well, that makes happy reading, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, like I say, this is where it falls into the grasping at straws bin. They've played 6, they've won 4, they've drawn 2, they haven't lost. So they're due a loss. And they could go to Man City and not lose, and they could come to Leicester, bottom club, and lose. I mean,
how often? This is football. This is
exactly.
This happens, doesn't it?
Yes,
exactly the sort of thing that will happen.
100%. But I did say earlier, dropped you in it a little bit. I do apologise, but I do enjoy this bit now. Is we are going to pick the team, and we'll do it straight after the break. But what is it? Not the team that you think Brendan will pick, because we gave up with that last season, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's the team that you would want us to play to get something from this game tomorrow, which could be interesting. And we're going to do that straight after this.
In a world where cat videos and memes rule the feeds.
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favorite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Indeed. Press that subscribe button if you haven't done already. It is much appreciated. Smash the likes. And while you're doing it, nip over to mixcloud.com/LTID radio and give us a listen. We're going out 11 o'clock tomorrow night, so it's an after dark show, so maybe not quite so much restrictions on us. But anyway, here we go. So first of all, Craig, the first question I will ask you is, what would you be looking to get from this match? We're away at Tottenham. We've not done so well in London, visits to London recently. Would you be going looking for a point, or would you be going looking for the win?
I think you've got to go into any game looking for the win, but I think most Leicester fans would happily take a point now.
Indeed. So are you going to set this formation up as going for a draw, or are you going to go for the win? Yeah,
I'm going to pick one that I think can keep us solid, but has the opportunity to score. I mean, as you looked at it, in terms of those stats, we've had a lot more attacks. We just need to start converting chances.
So what formation? And please pick one that I've got.
Well, I'm going to tweak it just because I'm going to pick one that I know you've got. So it's going to be the 4-4-2, but we'll go with the diamond.
1 second. I'm going to send you the list of these over so you can see.
Well, that's the one I think I know you've got one. We've tried to do this before. We've tried to do a 4-1-3-2 or whatever, and the closest you can get is a diamond, I think, in the middle 4.
I'm 4-4-2. Did you say?
Yeah, but there's a diamond in the middle.
I've got that one that you can see there.
I know you've done the diamond, Chris. So
right, let's just have a look then.
Unless they've got a 4-1-2-1-2 or whatever they want to call it.
4-1-2-1-2.
Well, let's stick with that. That's near enough. Let's do that.
Yeah. We're not doing this rocket science here. We're like, Unfortunately, I wish I could move the actual individual ones around, but unable to. Now, let's start in goal, because Schmeichel hasn't had a particularly good start to the season. over and talking of Schmeichel and Denmark. If you don't do anything tomorrow, check out my Twitter feed. I was on Danish television today. It's only a couple of minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. It's on Jan Molby's. He wasn't on it, but it's his channel. It's the main Danish sports channel actually. And it was pre-recorded, and I'm on, and I think it goes live tomorrow. And no, I didn't speak any Danish, so thankfully the presenter was English. David says, "Isn't the only issue with the diamond formation the fact that limits our width? So then we can't play Barnes, I guess." Niall's in. Big up, Niall. How are I'm going to just send you this over, Craig, on a Twitter message.
Right.
If I can find you. When did we last speak on Twitter?
It was probably only today.
Yeah, there you are. It was actually, yeah. Right. So I'm going to send you that link over. So what you can do is you can have a look and see what formations they use. So we need to do that. So in the one that and say hi, Niall. In the ones that they did, like I said on Lee's thing before, the fans went for Everson in goal.
Mm-hmm.
Would you change it at this stage?
I'd be tempted to be honest. I think it's a big stage to put Everson in away at Spurs, though. It was my only thing. But I don't think the massive thing in goalkeepers, particularly when you're asking them to play out from the back, is confidence. And if you haven't got confidence, then it can cause all sorts of trouble. And Ward doesn't look confident to me, particularly with the ball at his feet. And he almost, he put Thomas in a shocking position against Brighton, where he had to bring the guy down.
But when the manager's coming out and blaming him for things, can you understand him not having confidence?
Yeah, but he's come out today and backed him, So on balance, let's shake it up. Let's put Everson in.
Wow. Well, we differ from player one here, but in fairness, we haven't got. You might have to go back to Ward.
I think Ward personally.
Right, come on, Iverson.
Ian, I think. But you should pick it up from Ivor, shouldn't you? And if it's there.
Daniel Everson, Preston North End. Was he there on loan?
He was, yeah.
Oh, we'll have him.
He's had 2 seasons there.
He'll do. They've obviously. That's the problem with this site is you can. And I don't want to go on.
They haven't updated it, have they?
No, they haven't. That's the problem. That is the problem.
Yeah.
Right. So if we go for left back.
Left back, James Justin.
What the thing I've got with this is that you can't see me typing it because I've covered it over with the overlay. Not stupid me, not stupid. And now on the right, then this is interesting.
Steve Whitworth.
Oh, we wish, eh?
Castagna.
I agree totally. I don't think he's played badly, to be honest with you.
No, and he scored as well, didn't he, in the first game?
Yes, yeah. The only player to score at the start on 2 games, and I don't know. Forget it.
It was in the quiz last night. It was a quiz question. Scored the first goal of Leicester's season in 2 of the last 3 seasons.
You see, I knew I'd heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll cross it over. You knock them in, mate. Okay. So, in the left centre back role,
let's go with Johnny.
Here's Johnny. He says. Oops, hang on, that's the wrong one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's jumping all over the place, this screen for me. Oh, if only we could have 2 Johnnies. Right. And now I presume that we're going to give it... Sorry?
That's the fastest he's moved all season, I think.
think you're going to say something a lot worse.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Thank you for not. I'm guessing in this position here, in the right centre back, that you're going to put our new sign in.
I am, and part of the reason for that is that I want you to try and spell his name to find him in the system.
Really, you are setting me a challenge, are you?
Yeah. What's his name, Chris?
Face, F-A-S-E. No, F-A-E-S.
You had one job.
And I got it right. Look at that. Can I just say that I have got the Leicester City team?
Yeah, I thought you might.
I'm not stupid. If you pick an Nacho at the end, I always have difficulty with that one. I tell you what, Terry, play Steve Earle on the wing. In that season that we looked at, the 76-77 season, him and Worthington, my God, they were goal machines.
Yeah.
They really were.
Steve Earle.
Yeah, I used to like him. No, I don't think he ever got the credit he deserved.
No, he was a bit of an underrated player, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think we got him from Fulham, I think.
Possibly.
Yep.
Now, then, I have a feeling we may disagree here.
Okay. Excellent.
Who are you putting in that centre defensive role?
I'm going to go for Ndidi.
Yeah, we are totally disagreeing. Because I would be going for Sumari, only because I don't think he's done anything wrong. Not that Ndidi has, but I just think, again, Ndidi, he needs to know that it's not going to be his shirt all the time.
No, I get that. For me, if we're talking about Spurs' strengths are playing on the break, then you need someone who senses danger, for me, and can read it better than Sumari does.
No, I'll like I say, I'll go with you, sir. I will go with you. Left midfield.
I would be playing these a little bit further in to allow our fullbacks to create the width. To be honest,
I get that. Front. Yeah,
because I can't think that you can have. We're playing two up front. If you have two wide men as well, you get exposed through the middle. So these two would have to play a little bit more centrally for me. So that's why I'm going to bring back in KDH.
Right. On the right.
Well, if Pratt was fit, then I'd be playing Pratt.
Yes.
But he's not, by all accounts, then. So I'm torn here. But I think it's a game. It's a game again where I think we need people who can read danger and are prepared to put in a shift. So as much as I would probably like to put Perez in, because I think he's a clever player and he'll offer a little bit more going forward, I think it's probably time we gave Albrighton a chance.
Well, okay. You might want him, but you can't have him. There you go. There we go. I've got to say, again, it's those splinters are back. I just don't know about Albrighton. I mean, he's vice captain, but I think he's probably more an off-field role than an on-field role, especially while your captain's there. I was, believe it or not, and this is probably going to shock a lot of people, but I was thinking Perez. But I think for me, I don't think Perez would have played the full 90. And I could have seen Albrighton coming on at the end with his speed.
Yeah.
But I can see this the other way, that you put maybe Albrighton on with the potential of replacing him with Perez, maybe on the 60th minute.
Yeah, again, I think, although he's not got the pace, I think he's probably a little bit, because he's more experienced, he will probably sense danger, and your best opportunity of stopping Spurs' real threats, such as Son, who'll be down that side, is to stop the ball getting to him. So someone who can read that as soon as the ball breaks down, you should have somebody in front of Son stopping him getting the ball and getting it into his feet. I think you're probably more going to get that from Albrighton than you would do from Perez.
Do you think, again, devil's advocate time, that if Albrighton is caught out of position or Son leaves him, and has a breakaway, the ball's tipped over, and let's be honest with you, he's getting on a little bit now. Do you think he's got the speed to keep Son?
I don't think we've got anybody on the right hand side who's got the pace to keep with him, though. I mean, you look at
Perez isn't known for his speed, is he?
No, Perez won't come back and do that. I don't think. He does work hard, but I don't think he works hard, particularly in his own half. He's quite good at trying to close down in the opposition half and win the ball back high up the pitch. But excuse me, I don't think he's pretty well known for tracking back.
No,
as I say, if Pratt was fit, then I think he would do the job. Obviously not blistering pace, but I think again he's a grafter. But with him out, you would look, you'd have Ricardo in front of him, or whatever. I think this is the whole thing that we are lacking in right-sided players who can do that role. So, hence, let's go with Albright. We're talking about a team who hasn't performed so far. So those people outside on the fringes should get an opportunity.
No, I don't have a problem with that at all. Maddison in the middle?
Yes, yeah. England's finest, Gareth.
I love your optimism there, I do. Right, and you're playing two up front, which I would love to see. I really would. But I presume one of these, and let's put him on the right there for a second, only because I'm talking because I can have a look how his name is spelled. I guess one of those will be Iheanacho.
Yep.
And I have to be honest with you. They put him on that side. It doesn't matter. Do you know what? He holds the ball up. So whoever your other striker is going to be, I just think, we've played with Jamie Vardy because he's played more of the games and started more of the games. He's looked so exposed, and we've not been getting the ball to him. And I think when Iheanacho comes on, he's just that link, isn't he, between midfield, for me, and if we've got a lone striker, the lone striker. And even this as well.
And I think particularly coming up, I know you've put him on the left, but particularly coming off the right onto his left foot, he can make something out of nothing. We've seen it enough. I remember the goal he scored when there was no fans there against Palace, I think, when he just one step inside and he rifled one into the roof of the net. He doesn't need a lot of room to get a shot off. And if we're talking about how much attacking play we're having, we need to be getting more shots. And I think Iheanacho's always looking for a shot.
Yes, yeah. Now, I'll move him over for you. Now, it can be one of two, isn't it?
It could be one of three. It could be Barnes played in a more advanced role.
Oh, wow. It could be Perez, really. So let's make it 1 in 4. Who are you going for, young man?
Daka.
God, thank God you said that.
I think they were the two bright sparks in an otherwise poor performance at Brighton.
They both scored.
Worked. Yeah, they both scored. They both worked well together. They seem to have a bit more of an understanding. Daka likes running in behind, and Iheanacho can drop into little gaps. So I think there's an opportunity to try and build a formation. Brendan, one of the few positive things he's come out has been to recognise that we need more of a threat up the top of the pitch, and he did reference how well those two played together at Brighton.
Again, on that, believe it or not, was actually on Lee Chappie's channel earlier. That was the two up front that everybody voted for, and Lee couldn't believe it that nobody had gone for. The people didn't want Vardy up there. But let's be honest with you. Spurs, Daka's not slow, and I've always keep saying, 60 minutes, 65, 70. Oh, thank God, Daka's going off. Oh shit, Vardy's coming on.
Exactly. Defenders are not going to want Vardy coming on for a 20-minute cameo.
No, not at all. I don't think you've got a bad team there.
Thank you. I'm going to say it's just that right hand side I'm not sure about, but that's dictated by availability.
I'm going to ask a question on that in a second. But TM does say, and I'm going to ask you this one because I know the answer to it. Are you going Saturday, Craig?
I am indeed. I shall be there.
I think if TM should want to buy you and your family a coffee, I'm sure you wouldn't refuse it, would you,
No,
Gabe?
not at all. Not at all.
No Tottenham hospitality.
Yeah.
I think I've just dropped TM in it there. Yeah. It's like he's not taking like 10 members of his family, I don't think. But okay, the question I'm going to ask is: it is a problem we know on that right hand side, and it's one I know that Scott, if he was in, would be going, get one of the youngsters on. Is it out of the question to play Barnes on that right-hand side?
I don't think it's out of the question. My question, as always with Barnes, is to go to the next level, you need footballing intelligence, and sadly, I don't think he's got it. And that, for me, is going to be what stops Barnes getting to the highest level. Because when he's on his game, he's got it, but he doesn't seem to have that ability to react. Too often. I watched a game the other night. I think it was one of the Champions League games, and I can't remember who it was, but it was like they had a Barnes. Teams were attacking down the left-hand side, and the winger was just stood there, literally stood there. And Barnes doesn't do enough off the ball to me to either create space. If somebody's coming, move forward, move inside to create space, give the defenders something to think about other than, I know Barnes wants it to his feet, so all I have to do is stand in this space and, I'll be able to close him down when the ball gets to him. Occasionally, yes, he does do something magical, but then asking him to do it on the right-hand side where he's left less comfortable, I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything when he has played there in patches. I could see him inside, potentially more of an old-fashioned inside forward. If he's got that intelligence to use that space to, rather than be predictable, like I'm always going to hug the touchline, to come in off it the same way Mane used to do for Man City, for Liverpool, sorry, to utilise that space. Because that's a little area. Those inside forward spaces always seem to be the vacant spaces where you can receive the ball into feet and get straight at the two centre halves. If he'd got that kind of intelligence, then I think you could move him anywhere across the front line. But sadly, I'm not sure that he has.
No, fair. I just thought I'd ask the question. All I was thinking is, in some ways, the best form of defence is attack.
Yeah.
And that he will do that. But you make the fair point. Brookline's in. Good evening, Brookline. How the devil are you? Welcome along. He says Barnes is probably a natural right winger. He could keep his head up more and be more integrated with the team. You've obviously made your point. How you feel on that? I suppose the other option, like you say, is whether Brendan's looked at this in training and said, go and in this fight, 11-a-side game, go and play on the right, RV, let me have a look at you. And you may have looked at him and thought, oh no, we don't know. What about Barnes in the Maddison role and Maddison on the right wing?
I think you lose something from Maddison at that point. So. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Well, the only thing I guess you could say is potentially you could play Thomas. I don't think Thomas has had as bad a game as people are saying, and play Justin on the right in front of Castagna, because we know Justin's got an engine who can get up and down and offer more defensive protection against Son down that side.
And he likes to get forward, doesn't he?
He does.
He's very much a defender in the Ricardo mold, if you like.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we've seen,
just bear with me a second, Chris. I just have to step away. I shall be back in
No,
30
no,
seconds.
that is fine. While you're doing that, and thank you for that, we will hope you're all right. But what we're going to do now is score predictions. Easy. I always do this. And don't forget, let me remind you, please go to mixcloud.com, Mixcloud. It's in the banner going across the bottom there. Mixcloud.com/LTID radio. Mixcloud.com LTID radio. It's a radio, obviously, rather than a video show. And we talk football, and we've been looking back at football years and playing the music that was around at the time. We did the 76-77 season before, and music we played, Bohemian Rhapsody. Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Here he's back. Dancing Queen. I'm going down Craig's desert island list here. Yeah, Mississippi. If You Leave Me Now. Under the Moon of Love, of course. Leicester Show. Waddy Waddy. Don't Give Up on Us, Baby. Don't Cry for Me, Arthur Negus. Chanson d'Amour. Knowing Me, Knowing You. First Cut is the Deepest Way Down, and Mulligan Tyre. I have to say, that was the year when I left school, and that was also the year, and I will just say this, that we hounded Jimmy Bloomfield out of the club.
Sad days. Days.
Yeah. You know, be careful. As we always say, don't we? Be careful what you wish for.
What you wish for, indeed.
Yeah. TM has gone 2-0 or 2-1 to Spurs. Brookline has gone, wins 12-0. Craig rushes the field in anger. He'll do a streak and try and get the game called off. We're going to end it now. I'm just going to do a quick the scores. Everything all right at your end, Craig?
Yeah, all good. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just quickly go through this then. And here we go. These are the scores. Nobody's got a lot of faith, I've got to be honest with you. I have gone 2-1, and the reason I've gone on for that is because we always lose to Spurs. I can't see us winning because it's at Spurs, and I'd love to go for Leicester, but I need the points in the prediction league. So, Craig, but you've gone for a draw, 1-1.
I have, yeah. Again, just that thing. I think we've shown patches, you know, that we can be dangerous going forward. I'm hoping that the new signing, Face, galvanizes that back line, brings a little bit more dogged determination, and gives everybody a lift. To be honest, I can see him getting booked in the first 10 minutes for clattering Harry Kane, to be honest, but he looks that kind of player. But I'm just hoping he sort of galvanizes us, and it's a bit of a dig in and let's get something out of it.
Yeah. Tags has gone 3-1 to Spurs. Walsh has gone 1-1, but I won't tell you what he really went for before he decided to go for the 1-1. Steve Linitz has gone 1-0, but he's worse at predictions than me. And Ian Marshall has gone 3-1 as well. I just want to get out of this one alive and get ready for the international break. At least Madison can't get injured, because knowing how I look, that's what would happen.
That is true.
Hey, Craig, have a safe journey down to London.
Appreciate that. Thanks, mate.
I'm sure there will be a very, very, very odd feeling down there this weekend.
Yes, indeed.
There we go. But thank you.
I'm just hoping that obviously all the games, I think they're going to have a minute's silence, and then the national anthem. I'm just hoping that it's respected by both sets of fans.
Funny you should say that, because very quickly, Friday nights at 9 we have the question time show, and basically there's no agenda. I set the first question, and then we just let the flow go in the chat and see where we go with it. And the first question that I'm going to start off with tomorrow is, what is it with Liverpool fans booing the national anthem, having the minute silence cut down to 26 seconds because of their stupid fans? They don't want to be part of the of England, but they're quite happy to take our dole money and our hubcaps. Should we not respect the 96. Next time we have a minute silence for the 96, I'm going to boo. But you know what it's like with Scousers. Oh, woe is me. You can't pick on us Liverpool fans. Nothing, it was never our fault, And I just think, are they the worst fans out there?
Well, that's a question for tomorrow night, isn't it,
Chris?
It is,
and
much as I would love to debate that one with you, I think it's difficult to tar everyone.
Of course,
but I think, to be honest, I think they wanted to cut that minute's silence short so they could use that extra time for the end of the game when they always need a bit more to score.
Not going to get a better comment than that. No. That wins best comment. Have a safe journey down there. Get back in one piece. Thanks. And I will see you next week. Thanks very much, Craig. Enjoy your supper.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks to Craig there. What a comment to end on. What a comment to on that. Chris, good evening. STG Liverpool fans think they are special. Yeah, I'm not sure what the STG means, but yeah, Liverpool fans. I just think, I don't, they were saying that, Manchester City didn't respect the 96 at the start of the season. Then the next thing is they were booing the national anthem. I mean, it always seems to be, oh, poor us, poor us. Sorry, Amy, come on, mate. I'm in my 60s here. I know most of them, but STG I didn't get. It sounds like a disease that you may pick up somewhere. But, yeah, I think they do, Chris. I think it's a very good point. And it's not every single Liverpool fan. Of course, I understand that. And I like Liverpool. I've liked the managers. What I like about, the old school Liverpool managers was the fact, the Bill Shankleys, etc., is that they used to give credit if they lost a game. They didn't just blame the weather or the dry pitch or the colour of the shirts. And they'd always come out and go, you know what, they deserve that. They were the better team. So I've always got a lot of respect for Liverpool, but I am losing it a lot. I do very much think it's woe is me. Oh, look at us, please feel sorry for us. Take our dole money, take our hubcaps, but you disrespect the Queen. There's actually a Liverpool fan. I'm not sure there's a he or a she. It's up for debate. But there was a Liverpool fan that was in a chat earlier. It wasn't even a Liverpool chat, to be honest with you. And the comment was along the lines of, why are we going to miss football on Monday for the funeral? I mean, I'm sorry. Whether you're a royalist or whether you're not a royalist, and not everybody is, and I will accept that. But you know what? You just have some respect for the head of state. And I just think you need to do this, love.
Listen, get a life, will you, love? Listen, get a life, will you, love? Listen.
Yeah, do that, Liverpool fans, or those Liverpool fans. Thank you, Chris. I haven't seen you before, Chris. Are you new? If you are, please subscribe to the channel. And if you're already subscribed, please give it a like. We appreciate that. Smash the likes. It does help with the channel, with our algorithms, and where we get seen. We get seen. The more you like, the more we get seen. The more followers we get, the more we can do, etc. David says here, it's simple. It hurts. No one has to. Sorry, let's be simple. It hurts no one to have a little respect based on the circumstances. So regardless of your opinion, it's the least fans can do. It's 1 minute, for God's sake. Well, I suppose in Liverpool, let's be honest with you, they probably might not be able to afford watches. I would imagine somebody in the crowd's probably got to nick the whistle. But, did I say that out loud? No, I'm sorry. I am losing disrespect. I'm losing respect, and getting disrespect for Liverpool fans. Totally right. It hurts no one to have a little respect. Don't forget, mixcloud.com, mixcloud.com /LITD radio. please follow me. You do have to sort of have an account. You just log in with your email. There's no cost, nothing's involved. It just means then that it helps boost the radio side. And we're going to be back at 11 o'clock tomorrow with the radio, with the worst football songs part 1. Let's just say there's more than I could fit into a show. It's 11 o'clock. We can have a bit of fun because it's a bit later. And at 9 o'clock, match of opinion. At 9 o'clock, question time. And please, if you've got a spare couple of minutes, Brad, who's normally on this channel, his channel is a matter of opinion. Please go and give it a show of support as well. He puts a lot of work into it. Thanks very much, guys. It's back, football. Unfortunately, it's Spurs. Could be worse, couldn't it? See you tomorrow. I'm on a couple of Spurs channels during the day. That's going to be fun. I'm back at 9 o'clock, like I say, for question time and the radio show at 11. Take care, guys. Stay safe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for lending me ears. If you've been listening, I'll let you have them back now. Available on all your major podcasts. Take care. Don't do anything I won't enjoy. Good night now.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share and get involved. Join us next time.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too or I'll be back.
Leicester Till I Die TV. They think it's all over